This is the first time that I'm aware of, and I believe Mr. Bamberg and I, in discussing this when we talked about it, this is something we look forward to doing in 2019 and moving forward. In discussing, our local government and our state government and working together, we decided that we thought it would be great to be able to put names with faces on our candidates and our future elected officials, that in going forward in the future, we could all work together in a much stronger and much better way. So we're really excited, but I know y'all didn't come here to hear me talk tonight, so I'm going to turn it over to our moderator, Sonia Bales.
Thank you very much, President Cheatham, and good evening, everyone. Welcome to this very important conversation hosted by the Bossier Parish School Board. My name is Sonia Bales, and I will be serving as moderator for this evening's forum. Free appropriate public education, or FAPE, is an educational right that all students in the United States are guaranteed. Yet funding is primarily a state and local responsibility. Education is important to us all, affecting all aspects from the workforce and employment opportunities, economic development, property values, crime, and society as a whole. Tonight, we have invited the candidates for Louisiana Senate Districts 36 and 37, and Bossier Parish Police Jury Districts 2, 3, 4, and 6, in which there are contested races, to share with us their stance on issues related to education, so our public, as well as our school board, can form an educated opinion when casting their vote in the October primary election. Now, the format will work by each candidate being given 3 minutes for introductory remarks, followed by 2 questions for our senatorial candidates, and 1 question for our police jury candidates. Vice President Dennis Bamberg will serve as our timekeeper. So without further ado, we begin with our Senate District 36 race. And it is my pleasure to introduce our candidates, and we will be going in alphabetical order tonight, beginning with Ryan Gaddy from Bossier City, followed by Robert Mills from Benton, and Maddie Preston from Minden. So first, we will hear from Senator Gaddy. And you have 3 minutes to introduce yourself, and then I will ask you 2 questions.
Thank you.
The floor is yours.
Thank you, Sonia. My name is Ryan Gaddy. I currently represent District 36, which includes Bossier, Webster, Claiborne, and Bienville. And I've really enjoyed serving as your senator the last 4 years. Visited every school in the district. In fact, we provided a Louisiana flag and a U.S. flag to every school in the district that needed one. Susan and I grew up in Bossier Parish. We lived here our whole lives except for when we went off to school. Susan ended up completing her PhD at LSU Baton Rouge, and I completed my law degree. And we could have lived anywhere, but we moved right back to Bossier, almost exactly in the neighborhood where she grew up. I attended Plantation Park, Apollo, Green Acres, and Airline. Susan attended Meadowview, Cope, and Airline, and that's where we met, in F-Wing at Airline. It was a great thing for me that we met, because from that we've had 4 daughters. Catherine is a graduate of Airline High School. She's in the honors college at TCU. She really enjoys it, and Airline prepared her for that endeavor. My second daughter, Elizabeth, is a junior at Airline. She just made a 33 on her ACT. She plays volleyball. She is getting everything she can out of the education that Sonia just talked about. And of course, we had a special needs daughter, Rebecca, and she was actually a student at Kerr. And they took really good care of her with the things that she could do. But she passed away from her brain injury on January the 31st of 2017. And lastly, we have Charlotte, because we are pro-life and prolific. And so Charlotte was our 4th daughter, and she's in the 4th grade at W.T. Lewis. We also have family members that have they're active duty and retired with the school board. But I think it's important in this race, specifically in the Senate race, and this is a little different answer than our presentation I'll give anywhere else, because I know a lot of y'all. We've worked together the last 4 years on some really big issues. But one of the biggest things that's going to change in the next 4 years is the proliferation of charter schools and private schools in our area. People are chomping at the bit. And I drafted 3 bills my first year that would help limit that. And those bills were profusely fought, tooth and nail, the entire time. And so I can promise you as your state senator that I'll always put public school first, because K through 12 education is really a pipeline if you think about it. We take kids from poverty and put them in prosperity in less than 13 years. We give a lot of opportunities to kids that wouldn't have them any other way. So that free public education is a big deal to me. I grew up working at my dad's wrecking yard. He couldn't teach me physics, but Mr. Rondo at Airline could. Miss Allred taught me trigonometry. I had great coaches that were also my civics teachers, and they would motivate me on and off the field to do the right thing. So I think Bossier Parish is a shining example. That's what I tell folks at the Capitol. Bossier Parish schools are a shining example of how things should be done in public schools. So I appreciate your time tonight, and thank you for your consideration.
Thank you. Now, our Senate candidates have 2 minutes to answer each question posed to them. And you did just touch on this, but the first question being, the charter school movement is growing throughout Louisiana, and they receive the same amount of state MFP funding as public school systems, yet are not held to the same academic requirements nor services they must provide. What is your position on charter schools? Do you support having them in Bossier and Webster parishes? And how should they be funded?
You know, we've talked a lot in our town hall meetings about charter schools, and I took some advice of some people here in the room, and I filed 3 bills, and those 3 bills were very simple. I just wanted to test if the legislature was going to continue to put unfunded mandates of curriculum and try to drag down our scores and then say, well, we need to send a charter school in to save the day, because that's what they did in New Orleans. And so I filed 3 bills to stop the proliferation of charter schools and to help ensure that our public schools would receive their fair share. The first one said, Senate Bill 147, it provides for charter schools to pay a proportionate share of the local school's retirement cost. And that's a big deal because about 30-something% of the MFP goes to pay retirement costs. So when an online charter school steals 100 students from Bossier Parish, they don't have to pay any retirement cost. That's a net for them. So my bill said, let's leave 32 to 34% of the MFP back with the parish where the child lives or resides according to census data. The second bill basically said that, you know, we're an AB district all the time. We do excellent work here in Bossier. Now, I didn't mention Bossier's name, but what I said was if an AB district is an AB district, they should be able to override or reject Bessie's push for a charter school in our parish. And it made sense because charter schools were designed because they could do it cheaper and they could do it better. Well, if we're doing it at an excellent level, we don't need that charter school help. Well, of course, those 2 bills and another one were set on charter school day at the Capitol. And so I had to sit there in Senate Education for about 8 hours debating this bill. Federation for Children, Lobby, North PAC, they all came to the table. They turned in red cards. And they said, no, the MFP should follow the child. We don't care about your unfunded accrued liabilities. And then they said, an AB district, that's where we want charter schools. Thank you.
Reasons is pay. Yet an effort in Bossier Parish to elevate salaries and make them competitive with other districts was soundly defeated. Do you believe a raise is warranted? And if so, what are your thoughts on how to fund it?
You know, I think a raise is warranted. It's a big deal. You know, the starting salary is about $44,000. You'll have about a $260 million budget. You have tons of unfunded mandates and curriculum. And I know you're going through the process now of just kind of looking at your budget and trying to find ways to save that money. A true pay raise for our teachers that they deserve would be about $24 to $26 million. And I know there was a run to do it through property taxes because, quite frankly, half your budget is property taxes right now. That's where you get your revenue. Probably 24 to 27% comes from a sales tax, and the rest is made up in other places. So, or the MFP makes up about 47%, ad valorem taxes are the other part, and then you have sales tax bringing up the rear. You know, I think they do deserve the raise. And I think that right now we're in that tough process of cobbling together a compromise. I've made you all aware and I've made the chamber aware that I'm here to mediate. I'm here to do whatever it takes to move that forward. I thought it was kind of tough the way the vote worked out because it demoralized a lot of my friends who are teachers and coaches. But I do think a compromise is on the way, and the things that I'm hearing from board members here, the things I'm hearing from the chamber is, you know, the motions are starting to drop down. They're starting to see that, hey, a starting salary of $44,000 isn't really going to attract anybody to come to Bossier Parish, even though we offer them great things. So I think what you'll see down the line is a compromise form, maybe a portion of a sales tax, maybe a portion of a property tax, maybe not a raise for everyone, maybe a raise for some, but I think that compromise is still working its way through, and I've always been an advocate for that. But once again, I'm y'all's employee. I wait for you to tell me what to do because I don't know everything about what you do. but I want to come alongside you and help you so that we can keep Bossier Parish the best in the state.
Thank you so much, Senator Gaddy.
Thank you.
Our next candidate is Robert Mills. Mr. Mills, I'll ask you to come to the podium. You have 3 minutes for introductory remarks. The floor is yours.
Thank you. I want to first thank the Bossier Parish School Board for hosting tonight's forum, and I want to then compliment the professional educators and the support staffs in the schools of Senate District 36, which of course you're aware is very, very large, encompassing most of Bossier Parish, all of Webster Parish, some Claiborne, and some Bienville Parish. So there's a number of school systems involved. We're going to talk about Bossier Parish mostly tonight, but you've got to recognize that there's quite a bit of diversity in the education system, quite a bit of diversity in the students in Senate 36, and substantially difference in the amount of talent and funding available to the school system. So congratulate Bossier Parish specifically on the accomplishments they have and the success they've had in tackling these tough issues today. The Bossier Parish Schools, with its foresight in building the cutting-edge BPSB facility, Jada Spillers has done a great job out there. I've toured it several times. People from all over the state have come to see it. My friend Sharon Hewitt has been here at least twice that I'm aware of, and it's catching attention, deserved attention all through the state. Again, keep it up. It's one of those things that, as a businessman, encourages me that we will be able to educate, train, and produce good, talented people to come into the workforce. And let me tell you, jobs is the key to us staying on track and getting in the rest of the state on track for prosperity that we deserve and that we've seen in the past and that we've let get away from us. So if elected to Senate 36, I'll be your voice for education and educating children today. It's good for this. It's good for everybody. It's absolutely required. It's good for America. So thank you again, and I look forward to serving. In 36, if that's what you decide. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Mills. And we'll pose the same 2 questions to you with 2 minutes for response time. The first question being, the charter school movement is growing throughout Louisiana and receives the same amount of state MFP funding as public school systems, although they are not held to the same academic requirements nor services they must provide. What is your position on charter schools? Do you support having them in Bossier and Webster parishes? And how should they be funded?
Well, I'm a fan of education, all education, and I don't want to say that I would not suggest that charter schools could be allowed in areas where they're needed. Again, with the diversity of Senate District 36, we've got some areas of the state of that district that are underserved in terms of education. Not so in Bossier Parish. So how do you legislate state law that deals with everything but Bossier Parish? You really can't do that. And so we've got a dilemma that we've got to allow alternative education where required and where needed, and we've got to be sure that that never competes with high quality public education. I'm a product of public education and then ultimately Louisiana State University. So I respect that, and it is very, very difficult to explore some of the newer things, newer trends in education, the science technology parts of it. I don't want to preclude anything, but I don't want to kill the golden goose either. A high quality public education, high quality schools have to be protected, have to be properly funded, but you have to have respect for those parts of the state of Louisiana that are in dire need of any education. And I contend that a charter school will not survive in a good school district. So I go back to my basic tenet where competition is going to take care of a lot of that. But I understand your concerns on dollars leaking out of the system. That can be addressed, should be addressed, and is a function of you need to help me understand what we've got to do to protect the good schools and what we've got to do to develop, alternate education where it's required or needed.
Thank you. Second question, fewer college students than ever before majoring in education, resulting in a growing teacher shortage nationwide. One of the reasons cited is pay. Yet an effort in Bossier Parish to elevate salaries and make them competitive with other districts was soundly defeated. Do you believe a raise is warranted? And if so, what are your thoughts on how to fund it?
Well, you'll be pleased that probably everybody stands here today will say, yes, a raise was needed. But, you know, look at those that can really help get that done. And so I come from the private sector, the business sector. We sell ice to Eskimos. We've got to help you market the needs of your district. We've got to help you package that, put it out, that the public feels that the whatever the source of the revenue is justified and targeted for the needs of the children, and as best you can deal with the children. This is all about the children. The teachers are a tool to educate these children. They're vital parts of that, and you just have to convince the general public that these things are required, and it's going to require a collaborative effort with the business community. I'm a member of Shreveport Bossier Committee 100 that's worked very closely in Caddo Parish. I've offered that the Committee of 100 for Shreveport Bossier and some of our friends, and heard McElroy or Roberts Cherry would be willing to help you package a message when you're ready to go back and try this again. And I think with a lot of help and some preparation, obviously you're going to be back looking for revenue before long, and it's going to be something that you need to be careful with, open with, and as best you can, have all the homework done to be sure that the public understands the need and the justification of it. So it's something I'll be glad to help you with. I've got friends that would be, very interested. We've seen it successfully done in other parishes. Pretty big bump in the road this last time. Let's get over that. Let's heal up. Let's get back to the business of educating and getting teachers paid properly and retain them.
Robert Mills, thank you so much for being here tonight.
Thank you.
We appreciate it. The final candidate in the Senate District 36 race is Maddie Preston. Ms. Preston, you have 3 minutes to make your opening remarks.
Good evening, everybody. My name is Maddie Preston. I live in Minden. I was born and raised in Minden, and I am a candidate for the Louisiana State Senate. I went to high school in Webster Parish in Minden, and after high school, I went to California to stay with my sister. While I was out there, I got a BA degree in politics, government, and public administration. I made my friends and my enemies, and I decided after some years to return to Minden. After returning to Minden, I obtained a license. I was licensed and ordained as a minister of the gospel of Jesus Christ, and I worked as an assistant pastor for a while, and then I stepped down. Right now, I am a substitute teacher in the school system in Webster Parish. I am standing before you today because I would like to be instrumental in implementing change in some of the policies that we have in Louisiana. I developed this interest when President Obama had just finished his 2 terms, and he was making a speech. He said, if you don't like the way things are, if you want to change some things, grab a clipboard and a pen. So after the 2016 election, I decided I would do just that. And that's why I'm here today, because I want to work at instituting new policies and maybe modifying some that we already have. I am a fair person. When I told my daughter that I was going to run for the Senate, she said, Mom, you'd make a good senator because you are fair. You will not take sides with your own kids if you think they are wrong. And I do believe in justice, because the last part of our Pledge of Allegiance says, and justice for all. And I see some areas where I would like to see justice instituted. One of those areas is women's pay. From what I read, women are paid 80 cents on a dollar and men are paid $1 on a dollar. We need justice in that area also. And also in the area of auto insurance, I think that because 48 states have lower insurance than we do, that we should work on lowering the auto insurance in Louisiana, because there are people who are struggling to pay their auto insurance premiums, and there are people who are driving without insurance because they cannot afford to pay the premiums. So there are some things I wanted to change so that we all can work together. If we can work together, I believe we can bring about some change that will be beneficial to all of us.
Thank you so much, Ms. Preston. So you have the same two questions that we will pose to you. The first one being, the charter school movement is growing throughout Louisiana and receives the same amount of state MFP funding as public school systems, although they are not held to the same academic requirements nor services they must provide. What is your position on charter schools? Do you support them being in Bossier and Webster parishes, and how should they be funded? And you have 2 minutes on the clock.
As I say, I am a substitute teacher in the school system in Webster Parish, and I've seen that there's a lot lacking as far as the skills that the students carry with them after high school. I've substituted in classes in the 12th grade, and I have had to read papers, read tests to 12th graders because they couldn't read, but yet they graduate with a high school diploma. So I think there's a lot lacking there in Webster Parish in the school system, and I believe that diversity is good. I believe competition is good. And if in the charter school we can have kids graduating who can read, who move away from the school system with a good set of skills so that they can function in the outside world, I believe that that doesn't necessarily have to be a bad thing. But we need students who are able and capable of operating after high school. And I know that in Webster Parish, that's a real challenge because I see some of the students that I substituted in school, after school, not able to get a job because they cannot read well. So I believe competition is good, diversity is good, and I believe that if the students are graduating and they can read and write and they have a set of skills that can help them to maneuver through life, I believe that's a good thing.
Thank you. Second question, fewer college students than ever before are majoring in education, resulting in a growing teacher shortage nationwide. One of the reasons is pay, yet an effort in Bossier Parish to elevate salaries and make them competitive with other districts was soundly defeated. Do you believe a raise is warranted? And if so, what are your thoughts on how to fund it?
Well, I believe it's warranted. However, in Webster Parish, the teachers have just received a pay raise. Governor Edwards worked hard, I believe, to bring that into being. So the teachers have been granted a $1,000 raise and the support staff $500. So that's a really good thing in Webster Parish. But as I said, I've been in the school system and I know the challenges that these teachers face with the children. And we do need more teachers, and a raise probably would be instrumental in attracting more teachers. We could use fewer students in the classroom per teacher because these teachers have a tough time sometimes making little Johnny sit down, making little Susie stop jumping up and down, making little Roy stop talking, and then you have one over here who's really trying to learn, and you're trying to organize this. So I believe we definitely need more teachers in Webster Parish and Bossier Parish, I think all over in this state, to attract more bodies that can be in the classroom and divide the classroom up, because right now we have special ed students in the same room with the regular students. And from my substitute teaching, that causes a bit of a problem, because when I sub, it's hard to teach the special ed ones and the regular ones at the same time, because the special ed ones can't keep up. And then the regular ones, you want them to keep going. So something needs to be done about that too. We need to work that out, work out the kinks so they both can grow and advance. Now, they used to have the special ed students in a separate category, a separate room in the schools, but for some reason they put them all together in. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Let's give all of our Senate District 36 candidates a round of applause for them taking the time to be here with us tonight. move to the Senate District 37 race. Barrow Peacock was unable to be here tonight due to a conflicting engagement. We appreciate challenger Debbie Hollis for accepting the invitation to attend. Ms. Hollis, if you will please come to the podium, you will have 3 minutes to introduce yourself.
Thank you all so much for being here this evening. My name is Debbie Hollis, and I'm running for the State Senate District 37 seat. I drove all the way here this evening from the Highland neighborhood of Shreveport. It took about 10 minutes. Therefore, we don't need an I-49 interstate connector, but that's another story. So, I grew up in abject poverty in a very abusive family in Wynn Parish. My public school teachers at Eastside Elementary School saved my life, literally. In 1982, my dad finally got a job in Minden. And so we moved to Minden, the big city. And I started school at Webster Junior High School, where the teachers continued to save my life. I would go home and be told, you're only born to work, you're only born to have babies. My mother wanted me to be a beauty queen, and boy, was she disappointed. But I would go to school, and my teachers saw me making straight A's in school. They taught me how to speak in public. They taught me how to compete. They said that the words that came out of my mouth meant something and people needed to hear them. They taught me how to use computers. I graduated from Minden High School in 1988. I had perfect attendance for 4 years. I was the outstanding high school student in the state of Louisiana. I had full academic scholarships in art to Louisiana Tech University. I ran screaming from Minden in 1988 and never looked back. Since then, I've become a nonprofit consultant. I finished my art degree at Centenary College, and I'm also a small business consultant. I've worked in economic development early in my career and had a pretty diversified career in civil and structural engineering, different things like that. So I bring a vast knowledge to this position. I'm currently the creator and the director of the art education program at the Council on Alcoholism and Drug Abuse in Shreveport. I've also been an after-school art instructor at Ingersoll and J.S. Clark Elementary Schools, an adult education teacher who was certified in computer literacy and job development, and a certified software instructor through LSU's Incumbent Worker Training Program. I've also been an art education instructor for children in the juvenile court system who were assigned to Volunteers for Youth Justice for anger management classes. And I recently helped create a comprehensive community-based sex education program for Caddo and Bossier parishes. It is community-based. We're not going to go into the schools and teach your kids comprehensive sex ed, but if you want them to learn, I'm the person to call. I always end up teaching because I owe such a huge debt of gratitude to my teachers. It's just where I land, and I will do everything that I can to protect public education in Caddo and Bossier parishes. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Hollis. We have the same 2 questions for you as our previous candidates. The first one being, the charter school movement is growing throughout Louisiana and receives the same amount of state MFP funding as public school systems, although they are not held to the same academic requirements nor services they must provide. What is your position on charter schools? Do you support having them in Bossier and Webster parishes? And how should they be funded? And again, you have 2 minutes to answer.
Thank you. As a grant writer, I do copious amounts of research, and so I did copious amounts of research on this. I was very active when Bobby Jindal was governor in the anti-charter campaign, and I am so happy to hear what Mr. Gotti has done in the legislature to prevent charter schools from being having an invasive effect on our public school system. I've been an outspoken opponent of charter schools. I have done my research, and I know that they are managed by for-profit entities who are making money off of our tax dollars that are pulled from our public school systems. So little poor girls like me don't have the MFP funding that they should have allocated to their public schools because it's going to pay the salaries of for-profit management companies at charter schools. I wish that my opponent were here tonight. Before I left, I printed out a copy, and if you'd like to see it, I'll be happy to share it with you, from the Louisiana Association of Public Charter Schools that indicates that Mr. Peacock has voted consistently to have a positive impact on charter schools every single time a vote has come up in the state legislature. And that kind of broke my heart to hear that. I also found out, and this is only peripherally related to charter schools, but he also voted against arts-based programming at juvenile detention facilities. Now that's a program that's especially important to me because I teach art to kids in rehab. I teach art to kids who are in the juvenile justice system. I know how important this is, and I also know that this is an area in our public schools that needs to be better funded. Also money that could be used in public schools that is now going to charter schools. Also, as a grant writer, I find really unusual and interesting streams of funding. I know that the funding is out there for our public schools. I know that the East Baton Rouge Parish, did you call Tom? Thank you.
Thank you. Our second question being, fewer college students than ever before are majoring in education, resulting in a growing teacher shortage nationwide. One of the reasons is pay, yet an effort in Bossier Parish to elevate salaries and make them competitive with other districts was soundly defeated. Do you believe a raise is warranted? And if so, what are your thoughts on how to fund it?
Absolutely, a raise is warranted. I mean, where do we rank nationally in teacher pay? The very bottom, at least based on the grants I've been writing lately, we do. So, the East Baton Rouge Parish School Board is the only local taxing authority that I'm aware of that has actually taken advantage of rescinding ITEP tax exemptions for multinational corporations. The governor granted this right to local taxing authorities back in 2017. The school board in East Baton Rouge Parish rescinded the tax exemptions for ExxonMobil. And now the East Baton Rouge Parish School Board has a lot more money than they had before. Now, did ExxonMobil pull up their pipelines out of the ground in East Baton Rouge Parish? No. Did ExxonMobil fire half their employees? No. Did they move to Texas? No. They stayed. That is a source of funding that Caddo and Bossier parishes could definitely tap into and have the absolute right to tap into locally to increase teacher funding, funding for law enforcement, funding for a lot of different things. In fact, I have notes about exactly how much money we are losing to industrial tax exemptions. In Bossier Parish, the annual cost of exempted property tax revenue for multinational corporations is $1,914,537. The source is Together Louisiana. You can look this up online. Our school districts in Bossier Parish are losing per year $1,031,984 in revenue because of property tax exemptions for corporations. I'm not talking about our small businesses. Our small businesses are shouldering the burden right now. They're the ones who need the burden lifted off their shoulders. Property owners, homeowners, people with kids, they need to have this burden lifted off their shoulders, and the big companies need to pay their fair share. Thank you. Darn, I had two more ideas, but thank you.
Well, thank you so much, Ms. Hollis, for being here tonight.
Thank you.
In the Senate District 37 race. And that brings us to our Bossier Parish Police Jury contenders, beginning with District 2. Glenn Benton and William Whitmer, both from Houghton, are in that race, and they join us this evening, and we are going in alphabetical order. So, Mr. Benton, we will be starting with you. You have 3 minutes to tell us a bit about yourself and what you will bring to the District 2 seat, and then a minute 30 to answer our school board's question.
Okay, thank you, Sonia. Thank you, school board. You know, when our election is over and yours is up, we're going to try to do this for y'all because this is a great idea. But I'm a product of Bossier Parish. I went to school at Houghton High School, graduated there. My wife is a product of Caddo Parish, North Caddo, but as soon as her family got a tank of gas, they moved to Bossier Parish. We have 2 sons. Both of them graduated from Houghton High School, went on to Louisiana Tech. Our oldest son, Colonel Larry Benton, is living in Jackson Barracks, New Orleans. Youngest son resides in Houghton, is a retired Freeport police officer. 2 granddaughters, 2 grandchildren that go to Houghton schools, 2 grandchildren that go to private schools in other parishes. And the pride that I have is Bossier Parish. Like I say, I was raised here. I've been a public servant my whole life. For 33 years, I worked on the Shreveport Fire Department. You know, we were had stations that didn't make many runs, and I chose to go to a station. I was on the rescue unit for 26 years because that way you could help people, serve people. And that's what it is on the police jury. We're public servants, and I take pride in dealing with people on a daily basis. I'm open 24/7. I'm retired. Most of the people don't want to talk to you after work hours. They're at home, they have a problem, I'm available, and I can go meet them. I usually go look at every one of the problems before I even call anyone from the parish to go out and look at it, so we'll have a little idea of what's going on. But I love this parish, the school system. I'm telling you, there's some of the things we've done at Bossier Parish School Board. You know, in the past, we purchased playground equipment. We've given to the athletic department. We've given to the classrooms for teachers. We've built walking trails. But the biggest thing that I'm proud of is in 2009, Bossier Parish and the Bossier City Council came up with $60,000 and matched it with the state $100,000 to build a cyber research park out there. With that right there, the cyber research park, and we're talking about keeping property values up. With the cyber research park out there in 2009, it has created $382.9 million in new sales, $290.2 million in new earnings for Bossier Parish residents. In 2018, total new earnings created $94.9 million a year, an amount that exceeds the earnings of everyone in the entire finance and insurance sector. And an average of 526 jobs a year, but 1,646 permanent jobs for parish residents in 2018. By comparison, in the fourth quarter of 2018, there were 1,655 people employed in Bossier's entire oil and gas industry. So what this place has done is when we took the economy went down in the casino business and oil and gas business, this stepped up. But what makes this so well is because of the education system in Bossier Parish taking on training these students for future jobs. And that's the biggest asset that I want to bring to the table.
Thank you so much, Mr. Benton. Our question for you is, Bossier Parish has seen consistent growth the last several years, presenting the challenge of keeping up with infrastructure needs, such as roads, water, and sewerage, as a result of commercial and residential development. What do you see as the school board's role with the Bossier Parish Police Jury as a partner in development? And you have 1:30 on the clock.
Well, in 2001, the parish did a study on transportation growth in the parish, and we tried to follow that. We built Arthur A. Teague. We built widened Bellevue Road. We try to build roads where the school, we've helped on the Parkway High School turn lanes out there. We've helped turn lanes, and we're adding a new road going into Benton High School off of Linton Road over there to help get the people in and out of the schools and not back up. We followed that transportation plan. You know, they went to the voters. Before I got on the jury, they went to the voters and asked for an increase. If you give them the increase, they'd do it then. And it would be paid, it would have been paid in 2017. The voters turned it down, but we're still doing those roads, and we're paying for them as the money comes available. We're trying to keep up with our infrastructure. We've bonded some bridges out, some roads that are in need. We try to work with the school board during the summer and replace any bridge where it's going to close, or notify the school board if the situation comes up.
Thank you so much, Glenn Benton. And now, William Whitmer, you're invited to the podium for your introductory remarks. And again, you have 3 minutes.
Good evening, everybody. I'm William Whitmer. I'm running for Bossier Parish Police Jury District 2. Daniel, thank you so much. I was hoping something like this would happen, so we'd be able to come out here and we'd be able to talk to you guys and let the voters know who we are, what we're really about, and what we want to do, and let them give the opportunity to come to us and see what services they need. What do you need? Because that is the point of all of this. The point of all of this is, what do the voters need? What can we do to improve the quality of life of everyone? Everybody's, I graduated from Houghton High as well. I think just about everybody here is either airline or Houghton. My wife went to Houghton. She graduated, or airline. See, I'm already talking crazy. But my wife went to airline. We met at BPSB. Shortly after I joined the Air Force, and I, went and served my country for just shy of 10 years. We came back here. My final assignment was with the one here at Barksdale Air Force Base with the nuclear unit. We were able to take care of that. I got out of the Air Force, and I continued to look for a way to serve. My entire life has been service, be it the Boy Scouts, you know, the Cub Scouts, the Boy Scouts. I was a martial arts instructor, helped for a while, helping develop children and helping them become better versions of themselves. I joined the Air Force. I got out of the Air Force and I joined veterans organizations that I've been helping, and in other organizations I volunteer in my church. My life is service, and I'm looking to continue and find new ways to serve. That's what I want in my life. I have been so blessed by God, my family, and this country. I don't feel that I'll ever have been able to pay it back. And I'm going to continue to serve in any way, shape, or form I can until I felt like I've given back enough. And so that's why I'm running for Bossier Parish Police Jury.
Thank you, Mr. Whitmer. You heard the question, and I will repeat it again. Bossier Parish has seen consistent growth the last several years, presenting the challenge of keeping up with infrastructure needs, such as roads, water, and sewerage, as a result of commercial and residential development. What do you see as the school board's role with the Bossier Parish Police Jury as a partner in development?
Well, in all areas of development, we have to consider the school board. And you know, we have to come in there. We used to say shoulder to shoulder. We have to stand shoulder to shoulder and again figure out what needs to happen and then figure out how to make it happen. What are your needs? Mr. Benton, he's done a lot of great work with the school board. He just spoke on that. I won't cover that, but that work needs to continue. And where can we improve upon that? Where can we do more? One area that has come to mind for me, for our failing infrastructure inside the district and inside the state, naming rights to bridges, to overpasses. Let's look at offering the naming rights to businesses. The AT&T I-20 overpass. We lease those out. We get those companies to pay those leasing fees, and then we turn around and we use those leasing fees to pay for the repair, replacement, and upkeep of our bridges and our roads. That is a very easy way to be able to do that. That way, that takes that burden off of the taxpayer to do that. That way, we don't have to push for higher taxes. That way, we don't have to say, hey, we have a use fee, or our use fees in the Cypress Black Bayou are too high. We need to raise our taxes by doubling them to subsidize use fees on individuals who don't even know where the Cypress Black Bayou is.
Mr. Whitmer, thank you so
Thank you.
much. And please join in a round of applause for both of our candidates, Glenn Benton and William Whitmer in District 2. That brings us to the District 3 race, and in that race are Martha Peace Rayanga from Benton, Philip Rogers from Benton, Wes Shepard from Benton, Jim Viola from Bossier City, and Robert Williams from Benton. Now, a couple of the candidates were unable to be here because of scheduling conflicts, but we have with us tonight Martha Peace Rayanga, Philip Rogers, and Robert Williams. So we, first of all, invite Ms. Rayanga to come forward. And she has the floor for the next 3 minutes. Tell us a little bit about yourself.
Thank you. I'm a Benton, Bossier Parish raised hometown girl. I attended Benton High School, which it tells my age, but it no longer exists behind the school board office. I have 7 grandchildren that attend Benton Bossier schools, and I had 3 daughters that graduated Benton schools. In fact, I have a sister that teaches in the Bossier Parish school system. I was first employed with the Cotton Belt Southern Pacific Railroad for 10 years. After then, I went to the United States Postal Service, in which I retired Postmaster Shreveport and was plant manager of the mail processing facility. I managed approximately 10 years ago a $30+ million budget. I graduated the Advanced Management Leadership Program in Potomac, Maryland. I have also attended myself classes at BPSB. My youngest daughter even went further. When she needed her doctorate, she had to go to Texas to get it, but she came back and taught the doctorate program where there was a need at Northwestern. I want to support the constituents of District 3. I'm available at any time. I want to see that we continue a partnership with the school board because it's so important to the children in our parish.
Thank you so much. That brings us to our question, and you've heard it, but Bossier Parish has seen consistent growth the last several years, presenting the challenge of keeping up with infrastructure needs as a result of commercial and residential development. What do you see as the school board's role with the Bossier Parish Police Jury as a partner in development?
Well, I actually think the Bossier Parish School Board's ahead of the parish itself when it comes to being a partner. I think we're a little bit behind on our Kingston Road expansion for our new school. I would like to see Kingston Road even expanded wider. I think besides Airline and Benton Road, Kingston Road has an awful lot of traffic on it. And I'm always corresponding with Keith Norwood, because I also manage the Bossier Parish Riding Club that's behind the school. So that would have to continue, and the police jurors certainly be ahead with the school board in development in the future.
Ms. Rayanga, thank you so much for your time. We now invite Philip Rogers to the podium. Mr. Rogers, you have 3 minutes to give your opening remarks.
Hi guys, I'm Philip Rogers. I have 2 kids, married for 10 years to Jenny Rogers. I decided to run for police jury right before deadline ended. I prayed a lot about it. I was raised as my parents raised me as helping people. So I feel like this is a way I can give back to my parish and my district. I live in the district, I work in the district, so I'm in the district all day long. I think the school board is very good for my business because I think Bossier Parish School Board brings a lot of people to Benton so I can build them houses. So I'm very happy with y'all and the way y'all do. And I do want to put on the record, I do think teachers need a pay raise. I wish it would have come out a different way. I wish we'd have done it a different way. But I think it's been mentioned that I think there's other ways we can do it, and I think I'd be glad to help y'all in that way to make that happen.
Thank you, Mr. Rogers. Our question tonight is Bossier Parish has seen consistent growth the last several years, presenting the challenge of keeping up with infrastructure needs as a result of commercial and residential development. What do you see as the school board's role with the Bossier Parish Police Jury as a partner in development?
I think we need, I'm not in the jury now. If I get in the jury, I think communication is a big part of any business. So I think talking to y'all and knowing what kind of projects y'all got going, knowing what we can do to help y'all, and I think we just need to get together and work together. Things y'all need done, we need to help y'all do, because y'all bring a lot of good people to Benton, Bossier, and I think that's very important. Thank y'all.
Okay, thank you so much, Philip Rogers. Our final candidate in the race here with us tonight is Mr. Robert Williams. Mr. Williams, I'll ask you to come forward, and the floor is yours for the next 3 minutes.
Thank you. Thank you for allowing us all to be here this evening. Again, my name is Robert Williams. I was born and raised in the district that I'm currently running for office. Graduate of Bossier Parish, business degree from Louisiana Tech University, married with 5 children, 4 grandchildren, and I'm very fortunate that 4 of my children still live here in the district, and I'm very proud of that, or in our parish, and all of my grandchildren do too. That says a lot for what's going on in the development, with the education, with everything going on in this parish, somewhere I'm very, very proud to live in. I've been an independent businessman most of my life, so I understand the value of a dollar, and because I've had to get up every day and try to make it on my own. So it's been a great opportunity. I've met a lot of people over the last few months talking with everyone, and this is something that I've thought about for many years and wanted to serve the community. For what it's worth, my father had this seat some years ago. He served 8 years and was the president of the Bossier Parish Police Jury, Jesse Williams. Very proud of my father. He's passed away, and again, that's who I am, and this is something that I really would love to have. Okay?
Mr. Williams, the question tonight is Bossier Parish has seen consistent growth the last several years, presenting the challenge of keeping up with infrastructure needs as a result of commercial and residential development. What do you see as the school board's role with the Bossier Parish Police Jury as a partner in development?
Well, I think it's a lot, just like Philip said, it's communication. This is what this is all about. We're servants of the people of Bossier Parish. And the only way we can do anything to do the right thing is we got to communicate with you guys. Y'all got to tell us what you need. We got to look at the money that we have in the funds. We got to figure out a way to make these things happen. We need 5, 10, and 20-year plans. We got to look into the future. How are we going to get there? How are we going to get the people off these roads? Where do we, where can we help you guys? But it's all about communication. It's about listening. It's about, being a self-starter. Let's all work together. And this is great that y'all have had this opportunity to meet with us. And I would love to serve Bossier Parish District 3. And I think I can work with you guys and would appreciate your support.
Mr. Williams, thank you so much. Thanks to all of our candidates here this evening in the District 3 race. The District 4 race drew 2 competitors, Norman Craig from Houghton and John Ed Jordan from Benton. Thank you, gentlemen, for being here tonight. Mr. Craig, we are going to start with you. You have 3 minutes at the podium to give your introductory remarks.
Thank you so much for inviting me. And I want to say that I am police jury now, and I'm running for re-election in District 4, which is the largest district in the parish. I am not from Bossier Parish. I was born and raised in the hills of Kentucky. The first school I went to was a one-room schoolhouse. We got our water out of the spring. We had an outdoor toilet, but we did have a his and a hers. So then I went to a consolidated high school. I would have been valedictorian of that school had it not been for the other person, and they won. But during that school year, during that school term, I worked in the logwoods, timber business. We called them logwoods in Kentucky because our logs were a lot larger than they are here. But I also worked in a service station. So I didn't like any of that. I decided I wanted to get out of that particular area. So I joined the United States Marine Corps. And I served through that. I enjoyed it very much, and I would have stayed in the Marine Corps, but my beautiful wife, who was my school sweetheart, and who is here tonight, and she and I celebrated, or haven't celebrated yet, but I promised her we would, our 59 years of marriage this week, last Tuesday. I went on to have 3 sons. After we graduated, I had 1 son, sorry me. But after I graduated, left the Marine Corps, she was already in college in her junior year. So I decided to go to college because I didn't have a job. And I stayed 60 straight months. I got a degree in the vocational technical school there at Southern Illinois University. I received a bachelor's degree in the School of Technology. I received a master's degree in education with an emphasis in vocational and technical education. So I enjoyed that part of it. After college, we taught school in the just west of Chicago for 3 years, and then we decided to leave for Louisiana. Actually, we were going to Dallas. I was going to go to work for Texas Instruments. We stopped here in Shreveport. We fell in love with it. We decided to stay. I raised 3 children here. I bought a business. I've got a son, 2 daughters. I have 8 grandchildren, 3 great-grandchildren. They're all in Bossier Parish. They're successful. and we do love Bossier Parish. Bossier Parish is my home. I went to work for the sheriff department after I sold my business, and I worked for him for 10 years. During that period of time, I was the commanding officer for the Young Marine program.
Mr.
And,
Craig, I'm sorry, but you have reached your time limit there, so
sorry.
let's go straight into
I
the
had so
question.
much more to say.
Same question. Bossier Parish has seen consistent growth the last several years, presenting the challenge of keeping up with infrastructure needs as a result of commercial and residential development. What do you see as the school board's role with the Bossier Parish Police Jury as a partner in development?
Well, absolutely. One of the things that I believe in progress and is good roads and good schools. We do have good schools, and believe it or not, District 4 has 800, well, Bossier Parish had 800 square miles. District 4 is about half of that, 400 square miles. We have 432 miles of road. I think our job, or my job in District 4, is to provide good roads for the schools, for the school buses. They're safe, they can go down and turn around. We do work with the Colonel Haddon and transportation, and we work with the people who live in the parish to provide a good way for them to ride the bus. So I do believe that we need to work with good roads and to help the school board for that.
Thank you so much, Mr. Craig. Mr. Jordan, you're up next. Again, you have 3 minutes for introductory remarks.
I'm Ed Jordan. I'm from Ivan, and I'm in District 4. We're a rural part of the parish, and, you know, we all kind of feel like we get left out sometimes up in that part of the country. But, you know, Bossier Parish has the best school system, bar none. I travel the whole state of Louisiana, and I'm in the rodeo business, and I see a lot of the different deals, and you all have the best school system. I know I bounced around on the school bus for 1985 to 2015, and I finally decided to let it down. But there's a lot of stuff that, you know, that needs to be done. My son currently works at the parish, at the school board in the maintenance department. Me and him are partners in our rodeos and our cattle business, and he works here just, you know, he's got a good insurance policy. And, you know, y'all, you know, I got old now. I appreciate y'all's insurance policy that I've got. And we, you know, I'm proud to be from Bossier Parish, and, you know, just want to work with them. You know, I remember back when I was driving the bus, you know, we'd have to call and they'd bring rocks or fix turnarounds for us, you know, to get the buses out and stuff. And, you know, it's just, you know, working relationship, and I appreciate it.
Thank you, Mr. Jordan. Question tonight, Bossier Parish has seen consistent growth the last several years, presenting the challenge of keeping up with infrastructure needs as a result of commercial and residential development. What do you see as the school board's role with the Bossier Parish Police Jury as a partner in development?
Like I said, most of my district is rural. Bossier Parish, Bossier City, Benton has grew out of Halton, they're growing out of their bounds. They've got to come over into District 4. So, you know, things going to, you know, move that away, and we've got to work with them to, you know, to help the parish maintain our roads and different things to make it, because, you know, over the overpass, you know, it could be a school up there one day, you know, and, you know, could be one in, you know, out towards Linton, out in that area. We just need to have a close working relationship with them and see, you know, how it goes.
Mr. Jordan, thank you so much. Again, thanks to both of our candidates in that race, Norman Craig and Ed Jordan. That's District 4. Mr. President, we are going to go over about 5 minutes, if that's okay, before our school board meeting begins. So we're going to continue into our final race tonight, being District 6. 2 people have thrown their hats in the ring, Chris Marsiglia and Stephen Greg Nichols, both from Bossier City. Mr. Marsiglia was not able to be here tonight, so we invite Mr. Nichols to the microphone to make his opening remarks.
Hello, my name's Greg Nichols. I'm running for police jury in District 6. I had this big, long speech prepared, and then you said that we were cutting it close on time. So I'm going to give you the concise history of my life, and it's going to be a pretty good one, I would think. I grew up across the ditch there on Conrad in Old Green Acres. I went to Apollo, Green Acres, and Airline High School. Coach Rowland I was one of his first classes to actually coach in football. He can attest that I was never the biggest, as y'all can see, never the fastest, never the strongest, but I had the most heart. And I always came to practice ready, eager to work, and achieve the team's goal of winning. So that's what I'm ready to do now. I'm ready to do a little bit more for my district. This district means so much to me. I grew up my whole life in it. I met my wife in this district, and we both graduated from Airline High School. It means a lot to both me and my wife. So just wanted to come, serve my community, give a little bit more back. I've always been on the take. One of the main reasons I decided to run was we had like 11 valedictorians at Airline. One of them even had perfect attendance from kindergarten all the way to their senior year. And I don't think one of them lives here in Bossier Parish. So there's this big, huge, strong disconnect with where we raise these wonderful, talented kids. We send them off to college or trade school, and they don't come back because we don't have the employment opportunities for these wonderful children that we're educating with our fabulous school system. So that was one of the main reasons I decided to run, because the police jury is very instrumental in economic development, not just infrastructure, water, sewage. I mean, they brought Cyber Command in here, so that's one of the reasons I decided to run, and I'm ready now just to be eager and ready to work and give my heart every day to the citizens of Bossier.
Well, you've already touched on the question. You've heard it recited several times, but I'll restate it one more time. Bossier Parish has seen consistent growth the last several years, presenting the challenge of keeping up with those infrastructure needs you mentioned as a result of commercial and residential development. What do you see as the school board's role with the Bossier Parish Police Jury as a partner in development?
Well, Glenn had touched a little bit on it earlier. The police jury has worked with the school board on several projects before. One of the things they did that I know they did in my district is blacktopped the road right here around Airline. I believe, working hand in hand every day to achieve a common goal, that's something I do as a manager at Barstow Federal Credit Union. We walk in there every day with a goal to achieve the best customer service, and we all do it hand in hand as a team. So I believe the school board as well as the police jury all have a common goal, and that's to make Bossier Parish one of the premier parishes to live in, and as well as have the infrastructure and the development to support all the growth that we have here.
Greg Nichols, thank you so much
Thank
for being
y'all.
here tonight. Greg Nichols from District 6, running for that race for Bossier Parish Police Jury. And we want to thank our audience for joining us here this evening, and also those of you watching from home. We hope this has helped give you some valuable insight into the candidates running to represent you. Remember, early voting extends through this Saturday, October 5th. The primary election is October 12th. Make your voice heard by exercising your right to vote. Have a good evening.
Thank you, Ms. Bales. At this time, we're going to take a 5-minute break before we come back and start our regular session meeting. Thank you.